Shouts of dissent focusing on the U.S. role in bombings over Libya. Protesters marched under intense heat in front of the White House.
People have come out in front of the White House from all over the East Coast.
Foreign intervention and bombing does not bring peace, nor democracy, nor freedom to any people. It kills many innocent civilians.
Since March, the U.S. started using drones to bomb Libya in a UN-mandated no-fly zone there. Protesters here cite reports from the Libyan Health Ministry claiming more than 700 people have been killed and more than 4,000 wounded. The Obama administration says it's carrying out military strikes for humanitarian reasons and save lives. But protesters here aren't convinced.
Since when did NATO show that it cares about all the refugees? Look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan. I mean, look at Palestine. For years, the Palestinians have been suffering under terrible oppression.
A smaller group of counter-protesters who agreed that too much bloodshed has occurred in Libya blame leader Muammar Gaddafi.
Gaddafi is killing his own people. He has no mercy. He showed no mercy on his people.
Although the White House has received some support for military action in Libya, it has also received severe criticism. President Obama himself has been rebuked by members of Congress, both Republican and Democrat, for not seeking congressional approval beforehand. And U.S. opposition to military operations in Libya is growing in general, according to recent polls.
Obama needs to understand he's a human being like everyone else. So when he does that, does he promote democracy in America and promote finance in Ivory Coast in Africa? That's what he means. We got to tell him that.
Signs that U.S. war policy will change are doubtful. Attempts to cut spending for combat operations in Afghanistan to hasten U.S. troop withdrawals were voted down, as were efforts to bar the Pentagon from using funds to enforce the NATO-led no-fly zone over Libya.
Because of the oil, simple as that. They don't care about what the African people think. Democracy for them is not for Africa. It's only for Western country.
To date, the U.S. spends $10 million a day bombing Libya while involved in war in Afghanistan and still occupies Iraq with 47,000 troops. Part of that spending has included 801 strike missions against Libya.
We say no, no!
Colin Campbell.
On Monday, Syrian protesters burned U.S. flags and attacked the U.S. embassy compound in the capital, Damascus. In Washington, D.C., the U.S. further burned its bridges with the Syrian government. Clinton's comments mark a shift in U.S. policy towards the Syrian government. Even after almost 4 months of protest and crackdown, the U.S. had refrained from questioning President Assad's legitimacy to rule. Now they did.
President Assad is not indispensable, and we have absolutely nothing invested in him remaining in power.
The Syrian government has strongly condemned Hillary Clinton's statement and calls it a provocation, amounting to incitement. Clinton was reacting to attacks on the U.S. embassy compound in Damascus on Monday, but the Syrian government and its supporters say the U.S. is meddling in internal Syrian affairs.
Who allowed them to interfere in our affairs? Who gave them permission to go to Hama? We are the ones who decide what we want.
What triggered the crisis was a visit by the U.S. and French ambassadors to the Syrian city of Hama, the center of protest against the government. The ambassadors' meeting with the opposition and the protesters there outraged the government in Damascus. The U.S. says the visit was meant to show solidarity with the protesters and their right to express their demands. The French government has accused the Syrian government of failing to adequately protect its embassy in Damascus. The French had been pushing hard for the UN Security Council to issue a resolution condemning the Syrian government's use of violence. Now, the escalation of rhetoric between Syrian and U.S. officials could signal further action by the U.S. and the international community to isolate the country even further.
Meantime, to our top story back here in the studio happening right now, political chaos in QUARTZSITE. The small Arizona town is getting national attention after rumors the town went into martial law and secret meetings held by city leaders. Now, ABC 15's Corey Rangel joins us. And Corey, you've got to bring us up to speed on this compelling story. A lot of new developments?
Katie, the city's mayor filed this paperwork today with the state attorney general's office complaining the council broke the law by holding a meeting without letting the public know.
Are you coming in, or? No, I'm not coming in. This is an illegal meeting. It was never announced.
QUARTZSITE Mayor Ed Foster tells me this video is proof the town city council violated state law on Sunday by meeting behind closed doors with no notice.
When they locked the door, that became an illegal meeting.
But council members tell me it was an emergency meeting after they received hundreds of threatening emails, even death threats, after someone posted this video online.
You are in violation of my rules of order.
It shows a woman getting arrested while talking during public comment at a council meeting last month. The mayor says the council violated her First Amendment rights. The council says she broke city rules. Now the city government is in turmoil. What do you make of all of this?
It scares the hell out of me, I'm sorry to say.
Inside Sunday's emergency meeting, the council tells me it voted to beef up security at its meetings and move them from nights to mornings. I'm told an audio recording of the meeting will be made available to the public on Tuesday. The Attorney General's office could start reviewing the case as early as this week. Corey Rangel, ABC 15.
Proposed the measure after she says citizens asked her to do something about sagging pants.
Most of the people are saying they're getting tired of looking at people's underwear.
The mayor of Collinsville says only one citizen complained to him and feels his city has other priorities.
It might be offensive to a person that's viewing it, but it doesn't give that person the right to criticize and make laws prohibiting it in a community.
We found two young men with saggy pants in one Collinsville neighborhood.
Nobody shouldn't be offended about it.
They say it's just a look for them, nothing more.
I don't enjoy it. It's just the way people wear their pants, you know what I'm saying? It's the style with their clothes.
The mayor worries the city will lose focus on its goals and be known instead as the city that banned saggy pants. The council member who pushed for the ban says she only did what her citizens wanted her to do.
We are elected by the people, and we're supposed to represent the people. And if there's a problem out there that they want us to address, then it is our duty as an elected official to address that.
The mayor doesn't think this ban is what his community really wants.
I think it's very strange that we would spend taxpayers' money to facilitate something that taxpayers don't want.
Opponents also argued the ban could keep police from more important work, but supporters say they trust police to pursue more serious crimes first.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Tuesday, July 12th, 2011, and I'm Darko. This is part 2 of this news bulletin. My website is ggnonline.com. That's www.ggnonline.com. ddarko2012 is my YouTube channel. Go on Facebook and you can check out Global Government News as well. Here's a new poll I just put up here. Do you believe failure to raise the debt ceiling will hurt or help the American people, not the banks, in the long run? And so far, that's my vote right there. Just go ahead and let you know. I said it will help the American people in the long run. But you just pick whatever answer you think is most fitting for you. It says here, U.S. prepared to back Russian mediation deal that will see Libya's Gaddafi quit. And this is kind of weird because I remember I've mentioned this before about Webster Tarpley, a researcher in that, and a news guru, especially in the Middle East and politics and that. He said that Russia will become a superpower and they will, quote, rise in the near future. And so far, this looks like a good sign towards it, along with them now trading bilaterally with China. Outside the U.S. dollar. It says here, envoys say Gaddafi ready to go, says French foreign minister. Like I said, I don't know if that's propaganda or what. Support for military action in Libya is down to 24%. French National Assembly approves extension of Libyan mission. So the House of Parliament voted on Tuesday to prolong the French military intervention in Libya, as we saw in that video. U.S. command changes hands in Afghanistan. So a changing of the guard in Afghanistan. Canada, UK, U.S., France, and other countries scaling down the troops in Afghanistan, but U.S.-led raid kills 16 Afghan civilians, and says in eastern Afghanistan. Okay, Afghan president's brother shot dead. So just doing some final touches here in the country before they quote exit, which they never really will. It says here France announces Afghan drawdown. So France is leaving there. Why? Because they're going to be going to Syria and other places. Pakistan. U.S. Drone strike kills 50 in Pakistan. Syria is a non-UN sanctioned U.S.-backed drone attacks have killed at least 50 people and wounded many others in Pakistan's tribal belt near the border with Afghanistan. Blast rocks Egypt-Israel pipeline. I covered this before. It said unidentified assailants have blown up an Egyptian pipeline pumping natural gas to Israel and Jordan for the 4th time since the country's revolution in February 2011. Assad loyalists attack U.S.-French embassies in Syria. We already covered that. Yemenis protest foreign meddling. They said anti-government protesters have taken to the streets in southwestern Yemen to press on with their demands and call for an end to foreign interference in their country, just like Syria. Iran refutes U.S. accusations against it over Iraq. It says here the spokesman for Iran basically saying that the accusations by the U.S. Secretary of Defense against Tehran concerning Iraq's situation is a big lie. Moving on here, says U.S. official, no tangible evidence at hand to prove Iran's aid to Iraqi militants. A senior U.S. State Department official confessed that Washington has no proof to substantiate the allegations about Iran's arms shipments to the militant group in Iraq. Iran will not abandon nuclear rights. And it says here, explorer to embark on quest to find body of Osama bin Laden, the CIA asset. Well, many people think that he's been dead for the past 7 years, and they said that the disinfo or the propaganda that was put out is that they dumped his body at sea. Yeah, so they couldn't show any pictures of it. And good luck, Mr. Bill Warren, on finding that body. It says here, CIA organized a fake vaccination drive to get Osama bin Laden's family DNA. And that's right, investigation by The Guardian reveals CIA agents organized fake vaccination schemes to harvest DNA from innocent civilians as part of a secret intelligence operation. Scheme was carried out in the town of Abadatad, where bin Laden's family was believed to be hiding. The purpose of the vaccination scheme was to acquire the DNA of bin Laden's family member in order to identify where bin Laden was hiding. Besides the fact that the mainstream media is admitting that vaccines are used as a weapon of war, vaccines are also used to covertly harvest DNA without consent. So go in there and check that article out. CIA using secret Somalia facility prison. Remember I talked to you about CIA, ex-CIA, and private contractors training forces there in Somalia, and that is becoming a new theater that's heating up. Al-Shabaab has basically allowed aid to come in now. Now look at this. Aid agencies should work with Somalia's Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda linked Islamists. So look at that. Red Cross and all these eugenics organizations should cut deals with Al-Qaeda. Basically Al-Qaeda, the CIA's run terrorist group, inspired Islamists to deliver aid to starving millions in Somalia. So another humanitarian mission. Drones have been spotted there, and there has been the first strikes in Somalia with drones. So Iran, that's a humanitarian mission. They were dropping bombs and killing people. It's very humanitarian. Iran, U.S. trying in vain to save Israel. And next up, Israel to sell more drones to Brazil. Cartoon on Israel violence wins award. A cartoon strip depicting the witty response of a Palestinian child to a racist remarks of an Israeli kid has won the United States best political cartoon ever. And this is right here, the Israeli, my father told me that you Arabs are evil terrorist animals. And then here we go. It says, my father told me nothing. He was murdered by yours. Anger brews among French of the band Airtilla. That's right, not Flotilla, but Airtilla. Israeli House passes ban on settlement boycotts. Israel's parliament has approved a contentious law against boycotts targeting Israeli settlements in the West Bank. U.S. won't make a big deal of North Korea chairing disarmament body. The Obama administration will not follow Canada's lead and boycott a session of the UN-linked conference on disarmament to protest North Korea's appointment to the body's rotating president. An independent California-based research institute says the U.S. Army has dumped hundreds of barrels of toxic chemicals, including Agent Orange, in South Korea. You can check that out. The links. Chinese president calls on military academies to train advanced personnel. Like a West Point. U.S. top military officer visits PLA's Air Force Base, talking about the People's Liberation Army's their Air Force Base. And China's eye in the sky nears par with the United States, talking about SAT. This is kind of spooky. Starting from almost no live surveillance capability 10 years ago, today the PLA has likely equaled the U.S.'s ability to observe targets from space for some real-time operations. Next up, China calls on the U.S. to cease military drills in disputed waters, talking about the South China Sea. U.S. troops stationed in Germany have caused mayhem after their stray bullets accidentally hit civilian buildings. An ex-cop admits role in Katrina and then covering it up. A new study found that the most corrupt staff run British prisons. And finishing up here, U.S. seeks Mexico border gun sales details. Weapons dealers in the southwest U.S. will be required to report large sales of some semi-automatic fires to help stem the flow of weapons into Mexico. And where are they coming from? They're coming from the U.S. government, the ATF. They're the ones that selling the damn things to the mafias. This is GGN on Darko. Thank